Hello everyone, David from Carrillo here. We are having an opportunity today to sit with our new national sales manager, Wayne Stoner, and we're going to talk Encore Black. Encore Black right here will be shipping out to retail stores very, very soon. It's a brand new product that we've created. Here's the inside and the way it looks with the Vitolina on it. This is unique and different. I know a lot of you know Encore. I know a lot of you know the name Encore. However, Encore Black is a total new cigar, almost like a second Encore in a concert. It has a USA Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper on it with a Mexican San Andreas binder, and it has Nicaraguan fillers from 3 regions, Jalapa, Condega, and Esteli. So it does differ dramatically from our regular Encore, and we're gonna cut it, light it, smoke it, and talk about it right now. Ready to cut this up?
I think we shall.
One thing I just want everybody to see, the beautiful banding and the secondary band, and similar to the Pledge of Allegiance, we've added a very long, third band on the cigar to make it beautiful in its packaging presentation. So Wayne, one of the unique things that Ernesto did with Encore Black this time around is, a lot of people talk about Connecticut broadleaf that's grown in the state of Connecticut and its scarcity. And yet here we have a guy who's turning around and saying, I'm coming out with a cigar that has it on it.
He has secured some very unsecurable tobacco.
Yeah, sure. kind of a gutsy move in my opinion, but
agreed.
As we smoke the cigar, I think it's going to show that it was the right move.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you think? Tell me about your initial impressions on it.
It's very, very smooth. It's spicy. I love the spicy. It's a baking spice. It's just got a little sweetness to it. It's just, for me, it's instant enjoyable.
Yeah. I think the thing that's very unique about the cigar is that it starts off with, when you first see it, and then obviously you see the revision of the original Encore band with the black all behind it and that black secondary band and that black foot band. I mean, it really gives you that impression right away that this cigar is something different. The second thing is when you do that light, you get that aroma, the aroma that comes off of, the combination of that, Connecticut broadleaf on top of the Mexican San Andreas. It just, it fills your senses up with this great aroma. And then your first puff, you're like, wow. It's interesting that you mentioned baking spices. And it is a baking spice, but there's that hint of a little bit more heat than a normal baking spice to it.
Yes.
I don't think that you're finding, just a traditional, cinnamon nutmeg type style. It's got a little more kick to it. But the rounding out of that sweetness and the earthiness that exists in there, that's just amazing off of the first couple of puffs.
Well, the nose is that. I think the nose is more of that baking spice you get. You really feel like you just walked into a fresh bakery.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That is a good cigar.
They done did it again.
Yeah. Characteristically, it's funny that you would think, why would you do, and man, I wish I had Ernesto right now in front of us so we could ask him this question, but, why would you take a broadleaf Maduro and put it on top of a San Andreas Maduro? You got 2 Maduros and for me at least, standard blending practice would be they should compete against each other. But I think one of the things that is interesting, and you and I have talked about this, traveling and working together, and for the 4 years that you've been here, and you're going to get to talk a lot more about this now in your new position. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
The reality is that Ernesto takes, and our company takes what we get, and we re-ferment a lot of things, and that gives him the ability and the great privilege of marrying things sometimes that most people wouldn't put together. And I think with the 2, the wrapper and the binder, these 2 Maduros together, it's like, damn, this is a home run cigar for me.
I would never think you could mix a a La Historia and a Dusk. And it just for that simple fact of saying both the San Andreas and the broadleaf. But man, they just one takes a spice, one gives a sweet, and it just blends so nicely together.
Yeah. And then I think that San Andreas is offering that subtle earthiness that you pick up on the backside of the cigar.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that after the first couple of puffs, it's already starting to have a change in its palate taste.
Yes.
And that for me means the more I smoke this, I hope the more exciting it becomes because, I'm a huge fan of a cigar that will speak to the smoker as much as the smoker smokes it. A lot of cigars out there in the industry, and there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, everybody has their own versions of what they like to smoke and their preferences. But for me, I find that there's a lot of cigars that come out in the industry and you get one or two notes and they lack that complexity. And this has that complexity. You're getting a lot of notes in it, and I think that's something that's super unique also.
Yeah, I do always love the way Ernesto has his transitions. They always seem to, you never lose the essence of the cigar. When you light it, it starts, and you never lose that initial essence, but then you have those nice transitions to where things are added and taken away and added again, and you just go, ooh, hey, that's nice and new. Yeah. So that's one thing I enjoy about it. And this thing is,
Now, I know you had a chance
I don't want to talk, I just want to smoke.
Okay. I know you had a chance to smoke the first version of the prototype of it, the one that this actually is the same cigar. But we sent out, if I remember correctly, to all the salespeople. Ernie, who's part of the company, also Ernesto's son, has been involving the salespeople much, much more with the process of what we're looking at in the future and what we're making. And you had a chance. So from this cigar you're smoking today to the recollection of the first one you smoked, very similar, or do you see a difference at all by chance?
The difference I see is I feel like it's whether it was in the aging process or I find it more enjoyable now than the very first one. And the first one was fantastic. But I think now that's even the spices again, when you light it, you really get that nose of that spice when you light it. So I think it's actually better now than it was the first two that I smoked.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's very unique about Encore Black, which, I think a lot of people may not be aware of, but again, one of the reasons that we're able to use this USA broadleaf wrapper is the fact that it's 18 months old. Ernesto's had this in his stockpile aging. A lot of the other tobaccos in here are 3 or more years older. When you mentioned, which was very interesting, that it's smooth, and it is smooth, and that is a uniqueness that, when we try to fit a certain profile specifically in the Perez Carrillo series, and this one is actually part of a new collection called the Premier Collection, that we're looking for kind of a very signature look, which is that smooth, creamy, long finish.
Absolutely.
So as we develop the blends, as we work on the blends, the aged tobacco in here, which, it's very important for this blend because I think if these tobaccos were very young, this thing would be very strong and very raw, and probably fight itself a lot. But I think the fact that we were talking about, wow, how did he do this? It's partly because of all that aging that he's put into these tobaccos that allow them to marry so well. One thing I find very interesting is, kind of how Encore Black came about. And this may not be something you actually know, but, we do a lot of business internationally as a company. The first version of Encore Black was actually called Encore Noir for our international clients and international distributors that we have. Now, that cigar is nowhere near the same as this cigar. They're two different cigars, but it resonated so well in the European marketplace that, we decided, what the heck? Why don't we bring this to the US? And we redeveloped the blend to be something better that's more based on what the US smoker wants to smoke. As many of you know, many of the international smokers tend to lean more towards a mild to medium, while this cigar is definitively a medium plus or stronger cigar. So it's really geared towards the US market. But I'm sure a lot of people overseas that are going to be watching this are going to be saying, how do I get my hands on it too? So, that's an important thing to be aware of. What are your thoughts about how we're releasing this? Because, Encore Black, it's one size. It's 5 3/8 by 52. The initial run this year is 5,000 cigars, 2,000 to start with, and an additional 3,000 later in the year. Now being the national sales manager and having prior to that, having your own territory as a territory manager, give me your thoughts on that because, I'm just curious to think what you think.
I actually love I like coming out in two separate times. Obviously, the salesperson out of me would love to have it all at once so we could just allocate it and get it done. Because we do field a lot of phone calls out there. But the way we're releasing it, doing the first one and then doing the second half, I think it's great. It created a buzz. The release on these things. And I think doing not a limited edition, big difference, a limited release keeps the excitement. We're not drowning the market out. A bunch of people don't have it. And then, so I love the way we're releasing it out right now. Bring out 2,000 boxes, then 3,000 boxes later in the year. Yeah, it keeps everybody excited and seeing it come through. Plus, one guy doesn't get to hoard it all. Because I'm telling you, when people get the hold of this thing, they're going to look at their retailer and go, all right, I'll take every box you have in your store. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to try to do that. So It's going to give the other guy a second chance to get a box or at least a couple sticks. So I'm definitely excited about how we're releasing and bringing it out.
Absolutely. And I think one of the unique things is because of what it is in the limited release, we did a 10 count for this, comparing to our other cigars are all in either 20 or 24 count boxes. So we tend to make this a little different, so it has a different shelf presence and a different look to the consumer. What are your thoughts now as you're smoking?
It's actually getting spicier, which I like, and it's actually a little more of as you said before, it's a little bit more on the heat side as to a sweetness. It feels like it picked up a step on the strength, but not enough again to lose that essence, which is what I always love. Is I've never had a cigar by Ernesto that loses its essence of when you first started to smoke it. So, so far it's blending and creating all sorts of new sensations all the way around. My senses are enjoying it. They're awakened, let me tell you.
Very good. And yes, they are. Yes, they are. Anything else you'd like to add with, your thoughts on Encore Black and what you feel, this is going to do in the marketplace before we wrap up?
Well, y'all were out there and you loved it, and that was the Pledge of Allegiance. And all I can say definitely about Encore Black is you better get it and get it quick because it's going to go just as fast. We got everybody and their brother coming out after it. I love the premiere series that we're doing on this. Again, limited production, so it's going to be available. It's going to hopefully be available year after year. And, it's a next step for us, and we're just going to get out there. And, of course, the competitors better get a little nervous. Yeah. Because we're coming out hot and heavy.
Yeah, that we are. We're trying our best to do it, but I think we will. So I'm pretty 100% sure of that. So, well, everybody, get out there. It should be coming out soon. Take a look for Encore Black in your local retailer. Buy it, smoke it, enjoy it, and let us know what you think. Have a great day.